Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha. This is a Kohen speaking. So, today our Parsha would have been Vezot HaBrachu, which is the last Parsha, last Torah reading in beginning at chapter 33 of the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33, verse 1. Now, it basically details the information regarding the blessings with which the different tribes of Israel were blessed, and this was Moses' last instruction before he departed to the mountain in Jordan called Nebo, and he ascended up, and that was the last he was seen by the children of Israel. And it basically details, it starts with, if we look at it briefly, it starts with, and this is the blessing wherewith Moshe, the man of Elohim, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, Hashem came from Sinai and rose up from Seir to them. He shined forth from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000 of his holy ones. And so on it goes. And then when it goes with that, it starts talking about that this is the blessing of, then it starts detailing tribes, like starts with Reuben, then it goes to Yehudah, then to Levi, and follows on from Levi to the whole house of Jacob, and the judgments and everything else. And he instructs Israel at this point. You see, this is where it's very key, that he instructs Israel who are going to be your teachers. Can you imagine having a teacher who suddenly, 1 week is with you, and next week you hear that he's actually left you and gone to some other religious group, completely different faith, maybe even, different following. That is why God left a priesthood in place, because he knew the priests were sincere and faithful. And there's a testimony written of the priests. It says that the priests were faithful. They were tried. It says that the priests were tried at Massa. They were proven at Massa, a place when they were traveling towards Israel, and another place called Meribah. And so he said that the priests have been proven. He said, and then verse 10 says, they shall teach Yaakov. In other words, they shall teach Israel your judgments, and Israel your Torah. They shall put incense before you and whole burnt sacrifice upon your altar. So the teachers are forever meant to be the Kohanim, the Levites, the sons of Aaron. Now, of course, they can have other people under them. They can have different tribes, maybe Benjamin, maybe Yehudah, maybe Dan. They can have those tribes to help them. And they can appoint, other sub-teachers, like they can appoint a rabbi, and they can say, okay, you're going to teach these portions of the holy books. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but they still remain in charge. They will remain in charge forever until they live. Until, they will be succeeded by their sons. And that is the instruction that is given to us in written form in the Torah. So it can never be challenged. No one can come up today and say, hey, I'm a pastor of so-and-so church and so-and-so denomination, and so-and-so seminary has ordained me and I can teach you Torah. No, they can't. They have no authority. Their authority, if any, is only of this earth. Their authority is of one seminary. Their authority is not of the creator of the universe, God. God is the ultimate authority. And God is the ultimate lawgiver. So therefore, the authority begins with and ends with God. No one can challenge it. And it's not like I'm the only one with a book. The book, the Torah, or the Bible as it's known today, the whole world has it, and it's several languages. It starts from Hebrew, and it goes into maybe over nearly in 150, 160 languages, maybe 200 languages that the Bible is in today, and then no one can challenge it, because all those languages, when you take them back to the origin, which is Hebrew, and even if you don't take them back, even if there's some mistranslations, they will all say the same thing, that God chose Israel as a nation, and it says that God chose the priests, the Levites, as his teachers. Period. Finished. No argument. No argument in any language. So, the whole world today, interestingly, this is the interesting part, that the whole world today takes our Bible, takes our laws, and modifies them here and there and applies them in their life. And look how many myriad of religions came out of our books. Myriads and myriads and myriads of religions came out of our books. Christianity alone produced over 40,000 denominations from our books. That's just Christianity. And then you're going to find our laws. You're going to find our laws in almost every statute book on the planet, in one guise or another. Americans will have it, British will have it, French will have it, Germans will have it. And sure, their origin will always go back to the Bible. All the laws, and not necessarily all the laws that they append today, but there are a number of laws that are in our statute books today, meaning the government statute books of North America, that you will find their source, it comes from the Bible. And that can't be challenged because that is evident. But this is not to say, that, I'm not saying that just because they're taking the laws, it makes them better or worse, but it is a point to prove that our books are enshrined in the laws of many nations today. The Islamic world today operates on almost through their holy books, and their holy book has, letter by letter of the Torah in there. At least I know that 70 to 80% of the Torah that we know is in the Islamic holy books. So, and they operate on those, and there's no problem whatsoever. There's no argument. That's just one side of one nation, one particular nations, and then there's the other nations, Christian nations. Then there may be others that do similarly. So the point is this, that the Torah is very powerful. It's very apt, it's very appropriate, it is right for all the times that you need to use it for your blessings. Now, we know that Jesus of Nazareth, who existed at one time or another, a lot of people have problem believing in him today because they think he didn't exist, or maybe, he wasn't the person that claimed to be. There's a lot of argument still, there's a lot of debate. But the debate doesn't prove the non-existence of the person, because the writings are there that actually prove, not disprove, but prove his existence. And that's the problem, is that you don't need to prove somebody's existence by his, being absent in history, or disprove it. You can't disprove somebody's existence because you couldn't find him in history. But his writings are. You can find his writings, but historically speaking, this person of Jesus, historically speaking, there are writings. There's a letter of Pontius Pilate. I mean, come on, it gets ridiculous, right? How ridiculous can it be that the letter of Pontius Pilate speaks about this person in his letter and speaks about the rebellion? Therefore, what does that tell you? Yeah, the person, you can't find the person's bones, but the person existed. That's what it tells you. And that's why I said it's ridiculous to even think that it didn't exist. Now, I know you can take any book, and it doesn't just have to be the Bible. Well, the Bible particularly so, because some statements are left very open. You can take the Bible and you can bring out many interpretations. Maybe one interpretation suits you better than the other, and that's what denominations do. What do the denominations argue on? Different interpretations. And I'm not saying that you can't do that. Sure, you can. We're told that our books have 70 interpretations, 70 faces, 70 ways of interpreting them. And so that's why I don't argue with people saying that, well, you can't interpret it this way or you can't do it that way. Of course, if that's the interpretation they've taken, so be it. That's okay. So, it is important to understand that before Moses' death, Israel was given the final blessing, and Israel was told what's about to take place, and Israel has gone through many difficulties, difficult times. Our people have gone through many difficult times. There's been rebellious people in our midst, there's been bad people in our midst, and there's been great people in our midst. We have some great people and we have some bad people, and so God, throughout that time, sifted out the bad people. Slowly, surely, they were removed. And, so we likewise go through a cleanup. We just went through a cleanup. And whenever Israel goes through a cleanup, then what happens is there's a blessing afterwards. Then God sends the blessing. We just had the harvest festival. And through prayers, celebrations, now it's time for the blessing. We had finishing of the Torah reading. Now the new reading will start next week. And so it will be a time of joy, time of new start, because we're in the fall season now. And so the point is this, that similarly, I took some of my students similarly. I think there was about 8, possibly 7 or 8 of you that I took by name, and I put you on a list of prayer. Let's call it what it is. I put you on a list of prayer, and I put you on a list of blessings that are going to come your way. And I explained to you that these blessings are financial, and they can also be spiritual, and they can also be some other materialistic blessings, like there could be healings, there could be other material blessings that are related to it. But predominantly financial, in that financially God will bless you, and you got to allow the Spirit of God to lead you. This is very important. So you live in the expectation, in the law of imminency. The law of imminency, and you also live in the law of receiving, in a receiving mode, because God is about to bless you tremendously. And you got to be in that blessing mode to receive the blessing. You can't be closed off to it. You can't be ignorant to it. So 9 of you, or at least total list has 10, but if I include only the Torah faithful individuals, and there are many of you, I haven't included everybody, by the way. I only chose 9 because I wanted to put it to the test. I wanted to put this as a test for Torah blessing to these individuals, and then it wouldn't stop at 9, or at least at 7. 7 total individuals. It wouldn't stop at 7. After 7, I'll probably pick some more after that, and then maybe some more after that. So it's going to continue like that. So what did I say to you? Well, this message is going out to the public, so the public's not going to get to hear of it, what exactly I said. But what I did say is a financial blessing is coming your way, and it's going to be a substantial blessing. I'm not going to put a figure in public, in the public forum, but in the private forum, I've given you your figures. That you're going to get a financial blessing. It's going to be a substantial blessing. Means that with that financial blessing, you will have no problem purchasing a house, a car, beautiful clothes, gifts, your heart's desire. You can purchase it. iPhone 14 if you want, the best laptop in the world, Mac M2 if you want, and so the best phones, the best clothes, the best perfume, whatever your heart desires, you get it. And if you want to give a gift to some of your family members, sure, the money will be with you. You do whatever you want with that. You're going to give a gift to your family, Be my guest. I haven't stopped you doing that. Bless somebody else. If you have spare capital, you bless somebody else. You give money to your mom and dad, you give money to your mom and dad if they're good to you. It's all about a family. We, the house of Israel, are a family. And a family sticks together, works together, supports each other, and is blessed together. That's very important to understand. And those members of the family that do not stick or adhere to the laws set within the family, which is our Torah, well, they have to depart. They are gone. Either they are gone or they will, as was in our case, they left. And I'm happy for them. I'm happy for them that they left because, look, you can't bind people with a rope. You can't put a gun to somebody's head and say, you must follow me. People follow their own choices. Whether they be right or wrong, they must follow their own dictates of their heart. That's another thing. With that, I think it would be appropriate for me to look at a prayer of Jesus of Nazareth in Matthew chapter 6. I think it's important and appropriate because Jesus, to me, Jesus was a person, a teacher, a rabbi, who, for the most part of his demonstrative life, lived a Torah exemplary life. He lived in the spirit of Torah. He taught Torah and he walked Torah. So today, people have made him out to be some blonde-haired, blue-eyed person. That's a different matter. But he left a very important prayer for his disciples, which is referenced as the Lord's Prayer. I call it the disciples' prayer. The Christians refer to it as the Lord's Prayer. And I wanted to look at it a little bit briefly, just to give you where he was coming from. It says in Matthew chapter 6 verse 9, therefore petition after this manner, our Abba in the Shemaim, Kadosh be your name. So what does he start with? Remember, I spoke to you a few times the last couple of weeks, and I said, always come before God, your Father in heaven, with thanksgiving and praise. Open the gates with thanksgiving and praise. And look what he tells you. He says to you, when you come before the Abba in the Shemaim, petition after this manner, our Abba in the Shemaim, Kadosh be your name, holy be your name. So you're giving praise to God, that you, our Abba in the Shemaim, your name is holy. Your kingdom come, your will be done in earth as it is in the Shemaim, in the heavens. So he's saying, let your will be done, both above and below. Big problem is that we don't do that. Mostly we say, let my will be done. Not God's will, but my will. So you want to do what you feel like, not what God tells you. And then it says, give us this day our daily bread, our daily lachem. Well, your bread is not just your food. It's not just what you eat. When you eat, you give thanks to God. It's not just the food. It's also a spiritual bread. Understanding, wholeness, your life. And then it says, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. In other words, if somebody, not talking about physical debts like loans that you borrowed from the money to pay off. You borrowed a home loan, not about the home loan, that, just as I forgive some, because you're not giving nobody home loans, you're not a bank, so it's not talking about home loans. It's talking about when people do you wrong. And it says, forgive them, and just as your Father in heaven forgives you. And then it says, lead us not into trials, lead us not into tests, but rescue us from evil. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. So, in other words, don't put us through tests, because sometimes we can't bear the tests. We cannot complete them. We cannot uphold those tests, and they may be too difficult for us. There are several examples of that. What if God, like Job, God put you through an illness? What if God, like through Job, He took away your family, took away your wife, took away your children, destroyed your house, destroyed your finances? I mean, that's a severe test. So this is why this book is saying that lead us not into these kind of trials, because it's not, everybody can't bear those, everybody cannot survive those trials. We are not all the same. 5 fingers are not the same. So what Job could bear, some of us may not be able to bear that. So we ask God not to give us trials in that sense. This is why Jesus was teaching that to teach was not to ask for trials and tests. And it goes on to say, if you forgive men their trespasses, their things that they've done wrong to you, then God will also forgive yours. And if you don't forgive the men, then God will not forgive you. Now, let's look at it in a platonic, another way. Let's look at Jesus' prayer a different way. Let's look at it with another face, as I call a second face, 70 faces of God. Let's look at another face. And it says, petition after this manner, our Abba in the Shemaim. So where does the Abba live? In the Shemaim, in the heavens. Where is the heaven? Heaven is in the north. Where is the north for a man and woman? It's your brain. It's your head. So what does that mean? It goes to your head. What's in the head? The brain. What's in the brain? Different centers of the brain, conscious, subconscious. So where would God be? God will be accessed in what we might describe as a subconscious, because it's that part of the brain that connects directly with God. Where is your soul? Your soul is in the head as well. So, Kadosh be your name. In other words, when you come before God, and if we're talking about the north, if we're talking about your head, talking about that's the connection to the Father in the heavens, which it is by the way. The subconscious is the connection to the Father in heaven. Then what do? It says that you come before that with thanksgiving. That's why I taught you that when you pray, you must recite Psalm 150 in praise to God before you ask for things. Your kingdom come, your will be done in earth as it is in the Shemaim. Meaning. Now we look at it from a human perspective. Whatever you ask for in the Shemaim, in your head, in your subconscious, is what will happen on the earth. Meaning, it's not what happens on the earth that happens in the head. It's what happens in the head, happens in the earth. So there is a correlation of so the subconscious is technically, let's call it the Shemaim, let's call it the heavens, okay, for a second. So it makes it easier. So that's the connection to the Father. So whatever we decide in the heavens, that is what declares on the earth. So earth is your 3D, your environment, where you live. Whatever country, it doesn't matter. Environment for every one of you is different for each one of you, depending on your culture, on your country, on where you live. So, whatever you decide in your Shemaim, in your head, in your subconscious, that is what you see on the earth. Now, let me give you an example of that. An example of that would be fear, worry, and constant worry. And some of you are worried about it all the time, that, something's going to happen. So fear and worry constantly. And some of you may worry about disease. And so what that leads to, constant fear, constant worry, stress, what the doctors term stress, it's what imprints in your Shemaim, in your heavens, in your subconscious. And what do you get? You get illness, you get disease, you get old age, you die quickly, you get heart attacks. So disease is a result of you. You're the person responsible for it. It's not external to your environment. It's not like, you ate a pie and you got ill as a result of eating the pie. No, because your system is perfect. God designed your system perfect. Yeah, you may get a little upset here and there of eating something, but it'll clear up. Your system can clear it up. But if you're going to get disease, then it's you. So what do you need to do? You need to remove that fear. You need to remove that worry. And some of you are already ill. Some of you who are already ill, the way to healing is the way to repair of your body. How do you repair your body? Very easy, reverse the process. Where did it occur from? It occurred from the heaven. How do you reverse it? You reverse it with prayer. And what is prayer technically? Your affirmations. It's what you believe. It's what you say. That is your prayer. And you sit down quietly and you don't need beads, but you can to make it easier. Or you can take a counter if you want. And you start saying the reverse. You start saying, I am healed. I am whole. I am perfect. I am healed. I'm whole. I'm healed. I'm healed. Or you just say, I'm whole. Or you can say, I'm in perfect health. Just one line of text. I'm in perfect health. I am in perfect health. You keep repeating that. You just say it monotonously. Say it for an hour. Say it for an hour that I'm in perfect health. You will be healed. Your disease will reverse course. Doesn't matter what disease it is. I don't care if it's cancer. I don't care if it's, some other syndrome. The doctors have many profound names for these things. But breast cancer, other cancers, blood pressure, other diseases, diabetes, you name it, there's whole myriads of them. All of these can be reversed by your Shemaim. By what you put in your Shemaim is what you will see in your 3D. So it is important to understand that what you're dealing with is the human composition and the connection to God. The connection to God happens through your head. The head, and of course, not to mention the heart. The heart, euphemism for subconscious. Of course, within the stomach, there's a solar plexus. There is an area in your stomach that connects to your brain. That's also known as a brain area. So yes, all these things are there. So I want to keep it brief. I've given you some of the secrets to life. If you know how to access those things, you can do great benefit to yourself. And if you do the reverse, you will do great damage to yourself. So remember, God, if we said God was a pseudonym for subconscious, technically, it isn't, but because God is a whole being, God is light, and God is out there, but God connects to us. And the only way God can connect to us is through our subconscious, through our heart. And so therefore, you do have access to God if you want to. But you must be diligent. And if you are diligent, God will give you what you desire. If you're looking for healing, if you're ill, God can heal your body. Like I told you, you sit down. Sit down. If you don't have a beads, don't worry about the beads. Just do it on your fingers. I am perfectly healthy. I'm perfectly healthy. I'm perfectly healthy. I'm perfectly healthy. Continue to do that. Spend a day on yourself. Spend a day on yourself, and God will heal you. If you want to be financially wealthy, similarly, and there are other methods. I have two books out there. One is called Bullseye, The Law of Manifestation, available at Amazon, and one is called The Law of Attraction. Those two books are available on Amazon. I encourage you to go look at them. I encourage you to purchase them. I encourage you to read them, because they describe some of the methods that you can employ to benefit your lives, irrespective of your belief system. I'm not saying, hey, you have to convert to us and all that. And I'm not giving you another convert jab. We don't need the convert jab here. Because the Torah, the laws that were given to Israel were given to Israel. We accepted them. We took them upon ourselves. They were not given to the world. So why would we go around pushing it to everybody's mouth, saying, oh, you must have this, you must have... No, we don't. We don't do that. We're not trying to build a little cult, out in Florida in the stick somewhere. We're not doing that, and we're not going to do that. So the laws are there. Whether you believe in the laws or not, they will always affect you. The law of gravity is there. You can have a disbelief. You can say, I don't believe in the law of gravity. Well, it's okay. Let a fruit fall from the tree. Where is it going to fall? Up or down? That's the law of gravity. It's going to fall down always, whether you believe in it or whether you don't believe. You say, I don't believe in God. Well, don't believe in God. God is always going to be there. It doesn't require your belief. You say, I don't believe in the law of propulsion. The law of propulsion is always there. It doesn't require your belief. You say, I don't believe in the law of imminency. But the law of imminency is always there, whether you believe it or not. So these laws are always there. The law of manifesting is there. It's in the Torah, whether you believe it or not. It doesn't matter. I do not require your stamp to say this law exists. I know they exist. I've applied them. I've used them. They work and they're perfect. God's laws are perfect. So with that, I'd like to thank you for listening. Have a wonderful Shabbat. Have a wonderful week ahead until we speak again. And those students of mine that have been put on that special list, a list of 7, the Magnificent 7. So the Magnificent 7 for you, the message is this, that I received from Jennifer today or last night maybe, was that when she burned the incense, the first time she saw the incense went straight up. It wasn't going to the left, it wasn't going to the right, it was going straight up to the heavens. And she's like, wow, I've never seen that before. So it's a good sign, because the incense going straight up only occurred in our temple, and it was considered a miracle that the smoke would go straight up from the altar and from the incense. It wouldn't be a left and wouldn't be a right. Doesn't matter where the wind direction was. So it's a great sign. Blessings are coming your way, the Magnificent 7. You will be remembered as the Magnificent 7. So, the Magnificent 7. You're going to make a great blessings for yourself. Baruch Hashem. Wonderful, wonderful week ahead. Shalom, shalom. If you would like to donate to the Rabbi, you can send a donation through to PayPal, which is SHIMOUN63@yahoo.com, Shimon63@yahoo.com, or you can send through the Cash App. The ID is $SIMALT, Sierra India Mike Alpha Lima Tango. That's SIMALT. Thank you for furthering the work of healing to the world.